This video lecture is an introduction to environmental health and safety, created to support Public Health 200 online at Orange Coast College. Environmental health is defined by the National Center for Environmental Health as a discipline that focuses on the interrelationships between people and their environment, promotes human health and well-being, and fosters a safe and healthful environment. Environment is an ambiguous term. It is sometimes used to imply all influences other than genetic influences, including social, economic, and cultural influences. We will define the environment as the physical environment. The physical environment can be thought of as in three categories: unaltered or natural, altered, and built. Until recent years, we have recognized more subtle impacts of the unaltered environment. Radon, a common naturally occurring breakdown product of uranium, increases the risk of lung cancer. Exposure to naturally occurring sunlight increases the chances of skin cancer, including melanoma, a potentially lethal skin cancer, especially among light-skinned individuals. Related to the altered environment, the sheer growth in the number of human beings, the planet's population has exceeded 7 billion, is likely to magnify our impact on all aspects of our physical environment in the future. Some alterations to our environment may improve health, from water treatment to waste management to mosquito and flood control. The list of intentional or unintentional introductions is very long and includes industrial chemicals, elements mined from the earth such as mercury and lead, radiation from nuclear energy, invasive species, and biological waste. The concept of the built environment is relatively new and includes all the impacts of the physical environment as a result of human construction. Impacts include injuries and exposures, building, heating, and cooking methods, travel methods, particularly motor vehicles, and opportunities for physical activity. What elements within the environment are essential for human health? There are three factors: clean air, safe and sufficient water, and adequate and safe food. With regards to clean air, in the United States we are very lucky and we have relatively clean air all across the country. However, at least 1.5 billion people live in areas with levels of air pollution that are dangerous. In some developing nations, there's been a rapid growth in the industrialization of the large cities without proper mitigation for the exhaust waste that comes from burning fossil fuels. There is a large pollution cloud, smog as we call it, over the Asian continent, stretching from India all the way through China. Some call this the Asian brown cloud, but more correctly it should be called the atmospheric brown cloud. Let's watch a short video that describes it.
All that car exhaust and pollution from power plants and factories, all that smoke, soot and ash from cooking food and burning crops, it all has to go somewhere. And that somewhere is here. From the ground looking up, it's the heavy blanket of smog which seems to be an almost permanent fixture of many Asian cities. From satellite photos looking down, it can be seen stretching across India, China, and beyond. Scientists call it an atmospheric brown cloud, a toxic cocktail 2 miles deep, covering tens of millions of square miles from the Arabian Peninsula to the Western Pacific and growing.
The atmospheric brown cloud is both complex and in need of a great deal more attention.
Scientists first raised the alarm 6 years ago. Now they say they know much more about the cloud's impact on climate change. Because the cloud absorbs the sun's rays or reflects them back, ground temperatures are cooler, masking the impact of global warming, while temperatures in the upper atmosphere are higher, explaining why Himalayan glaciers are melting much faster than expected. And scientists say every year the cloud is reducing the amount of sunlight reaching New Delhi, Karachi, Shanghai and Beijing, 25% less since the 1950s, and that's changing rainfall patterns across the region.
Because sunlight reaching the ground evaporates moisture, and this moisture goes up in the air and then falls down as rain. So when you cut down sunlight at the ground, you will cut rainfall.
The UN report estimates the changing weather pattern costs $5 billion annually in crop losses, while exposure to the cloud's particulate matter kills more than 300,000 people every year in China and India. If we stop producing all of the emissions which make up the cloud, scientists say it could disappear in just 2 weeks. But as unlikely as that is, they warn if it did happen, global temperatures could rise by 1, perhaps 1.5 degrees Celsius. John Vors, CNN Beijing.
So while we enjoy the benefits of clean air, there are many people who do not. In truth, I remember growing up in the late 60s and early 70s, living in Los Angeles and Huntington Beach, that my parents could buy gas that was either leaded or unleaded. The leaded gas was better for the cars and they ran better, but it threw lead into the air, which is a pollutant and a toxin. Also, sometimes the smog was so bad that we couldn't go out to play. It actually burned if you took an inhalation. So we've been able to clean up our air quite a bit, but other nations have not had the opportunity. The second element that we need in a healthy environment is safe and sufficient water. Again, we are very lucky that we have plenty of clean water, although other people are not as lucky. Let's take a look to see what other people might have to do to get water.
You're watching UNICEF Television.
Like many communities in Paraguay's semi-arid region, Nazareth receives nearly all of its rain between the months of November and March. When there is no rain, there is no easy access to clean drinking water. So during these times, families either walk great distances to fetch water or drink from possibly contaminated sources. This father of 5 lost one child who became ill with severe diarrhea.
The main problems here are health and water. I'm very worried because we don't have enough water. Before, there were some people who taught us how to clean dirty water using chemicals, but now we can't even afford the chemicals, so we just drink the dirty water, and this makes us sick.
His children spend many hours each day walking to a nearby pond to collect water. It's also used by animals, so the water frequently makes them ill. Their plight is shared by many indigenous communities in the region. UNICEF's response to this threat to childhood survival is a simple system. Rain falls on the roof, is diverted into pipes, then sent into a large covered well, which can be accessed by a simple hand pump.
UNICEF is working to promote child rights. And the rights of indigenous children are the most vulnerable. UNICEF is focused on early survival, so we want to guarantee that children have reliable access to clean water, good nutrition, and an adequate health system.
More than 1 billion people use unsafe drinking water sources. As a result, thousands of children die every day from diarrhea or related infections. Providing long-term solutions like water collection systems not only saves lives, it allows communities to focus on other important concerns, like sustainable development and education. This is Thomas Naibo reporting for UNICEF Television in Nazareth, Paraguay. Unite for children.
Lastly, people need adequate and safe food. While we are very lucky in this country, and generally calories or lack of calories is not the issue, many people in our country don't have healthy food. Also, many people worldwide don't have enough food to eat, or the food is contaminated. The contamination could be brought about by improper storage while the food is in transit, or it could relate to contamination from animals and other organisms while the crops are growing. However, we are very fortunate in our country, and we have agencies such as the CDC monitoring food to make sure that it's healthy and free of bacteria.